So, David, many congratulations.
Thank you.
Deserved it 1,000 times. The camera, I hope, is on us. And before we do this,
Could you?
take it back in.
It's not being rejected. My lord, ladies and gentlemen, Ray, I am very touched. I am completely unprepared, and I haven't thought about this at all. And above all, I do not have an elegant artifact like that to aid me. Certain thoughts struck me as you were speaking. The last time I spoke publicly was last week, when I found myself in the pulpit, a most extraordinary experience, in the pulpit of Westminster Abbey. The last time I spoke in a pulpit was at Kendal Parish Church when I was a schoolboy. And may I have the glass of water? I'm sorry, I've got a tickle in my throat. Yes, thank you. Could you? When I was a schoolboy, and I was performing. Yeah, that's mine. Yes, just bring it over. Yes, thank you. I was performing Murder in the. That's very kind. I was performing Murder in the Cathedral, and I was, needless to say, playing Thomas Becket, and I played it so well that it was actually, of course, it was actually moved from the school hall to the parish church, where I have to say the vicar displayed what nowadays would be regarded as perhaps unnecessary enthusiasm in a way that we are all familiar in these circumstances, but never mind. We will draw a kind of veil of the temple over that. Anyway, my English master, who despite the fact he was a Quaker, was immensely shrewd, said after my wonderful performance of simulated spiritual agony, looked at me very hard and he said, "Starkey, don't get ideas. You would have made a very good, bad cardinal." And I think he was absolutely right. But of course I then became, and I'm finding myself trying to reconcile, and I'm being very serious at this point, Ray, various aspects of my life. Where does where I am now, acting one way or another, as a kind of public figure for the right, where on earth does it fit with what I was doing at the Abbey? Where does it fit with my earlier life as a specialist in Tudor history, the world that I exhibit, and that I am very proud to do so with two of the people here, with my role at Hever, and of course my role at Crosby Moran Hall, where again, I'm an early modern historian. Is there a connection? Did I simply get my early career wrong? Should I have gone into politics immediately? Do the two connect at all? And I've been reflecting a lot about this, because what I tried to do in my speech at the Abbey was to connect precisely my earlier experience, my understanding of the 16th century, my understanding, of course, in the context of the Abbey, of that extraordinary transitional figure, William Cecil, and I know some of you are staying at the Cecil Hotel. I assure you the family has absolutely nothing to do with it at all, and deeply, deeply regret the purloining of the title. But never mind, the Cecil family. I was in the speech trying to connect Cecil and his approaches to politics with now. Why and how? The 16th century, which is the period that I made my own, that I specialized in, is a period, and we forget this, we tend to see the beginning of the legend of England, we tend to see the thing that drives so much, that of course culminated in the Brexit vote, that sense of English exceptionalism, which is fundamentally the creation of Henry VIII, the fact that an England which up to that point really, although of course it is an island, isn't an island in our modern sense, because for all the Middle Ages, from the Norman conquest onwards, the Channel is actually a means of communication. It connects England to the south. For most of the Middle Ages, England is part of a cross-channel empire. And there's this violent rupture in the early 16th century, in the reign of Henry VIII, with the break with Rome, and of course feeding most beautifully into the break, and I've no idea how we fall in the Remainer-Leaver divide, and it's always safer not to ask in even the most intimate circumstances. But the reign of Henry VIII is the kind of direct anticipation of that notion of England alone, England separate from Europe, because in the reign of Henry VIII, with the break with Rome, with the treaties of Nice in 1530, sorry, we're supposed to be displaying brain power, aren't we? With the treaties of Nice of 1539, with the possible coming together of France and Spain and the Holy Roman Empire and whatever against England, you get for the first time the concept of England as separate, unique, distinct from Europe, the creation of an armed frontier, Henry VIII's extraordinary, and again using all the new techniques of the Renaissance in terms of mapping, in terms of ballistics, in terms of fortification, in terms of the understanding of tides, all of these things to fortify England from Hull, which I have to say, I regret to announce it's true, is actually invented by Henry VIII. I'm sure he would regret it, but there we are. And Newcastle, and then the whole of the way round to Milford Haven. Why that great moment of the separation and the definition of England as distinct and separate? But where does the connection with now come? Well, the connection with now comes that what drove it was the rediscovery and the reinterpretation and the reabsorption in the earlier culture, the culture of Greece and Rome, through new mediums of understanding of languages. I mean, Ray has been very modest. He's also a very serious German scholar. He was a scholar in modern languages at Trinity at Cambridge, little the time after I was there, but at the same time as Prince Charles, though of course he disguised Prince Charles's less than distinguished academic performance at the same time. I think they share, you were next sets to each other, weren't you, actually, in Trinity Great Court. So what happens in the early 16th century is a kind of culture clash. It is the world of Rome, it's the world of Greece, the world of republics, the world of political theory, clashing with the world of personal monarchy and aristocratic values. And everybody in the early 16th century had and was confronted by a choice. They're also confronted by a choice in religion, because based on that similar reappraisal of the texts of the gospel, you are confronted with, has the past been a mistake? Is the Catholic Church error? Is the Pope Antichrist? And you're faced with a choice between old and new, a choice that ruptures and the choice that tears apart. A man like William Cecil, who becomes the chief minister of Elizabeth I, Elizabeth herself, take a very different decision. They decide that old and new can be complementary, that old and new can feed off each other and benefit each other. That, in other words, we don't destroy the past progress. We build on it, we draw from it, we exploit it. And this seems to me to be the great challenge of where we are now. We have had this perpetual sense of rupture, this sense that the past, beginning in most crude and simple sense with somebody like Tony Blair, and the irony of Blair a couple of weeks ago being installed as a Knight of the Garter. This man who chatted about a younger country being installed in an order founded in 1430, let me get my centuries the right way around, in 1348. Installed, of course, in a chapel which is in the oldest inhabited castle in the world, by the longest serving and oldest monarch of the second oldest monarchy in the world, and nevertheless the man who prattled about a new country. And I'm afraid we've got to recognise that what happened in the 1990s and what has been largely happening subsequently is a catastrophe. The mind is not a free-floating thing. The mind, in a way that it works at all, is anchored in a culture. A culture is historically defined. Words only have meaning within a defined historical culture. And when we have, and they were faced with exactly the same issue in the 16th century, if you decide the past is a mistake, you're not left with a new beginning, you are left with a desert in which the first casualty is the mind and civil society and everything that actually makes humanity worth living. I am on that side of continuity. I am determined to preserve it. It does need courage. It needs the courage to lose things. What I'm hanging round my neck hangs, I am sure, by a thread. It needs the courage to lose things, and to lose them in the name of gaining bigger ones. And I regard the prize that I've been given this evening as much bigger than the thing that's hanging round my neck. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you for watching David Starkey Talks. If, as I very much hope, you're enjoying them, why not become more actively involved and join my members club? As a member, you'll be able to take part in the members-only weekly question and answer session, suggest topics for forthcoming videos, and have priority booking for my forthcoming live events. And while you're at it, why not have a look at the store page on my website, davidstarkey.com. There you can purchase t-shirts and other merchandise, buy signed copies of my books, and, if you're feeling brave and a bit flush, even arrange to take me out to lunch. Thank you once again for watching. I look forward to hearing from you and to welcoming you to my members club.